What's going on, guys? This is Rob, and as you all know, Thor: Love and Thunder has been screened for critics, and I haven't seen it yet, right? I have not seen this movie at all. And supposedly, I gotta keep saying supposedly here, supposedly, the first post-credit scene for that movie has leaked out. Now, I saw this on Dom's 2 cents, so I don't know, you can take it for what it's worth. But supposedly, the first post-credit scene in this movie, or mid-credits or whatever, is essentially Hercules returning back to Olympus and finding out all the gods are dead and being ordered by whoever it is that survives to kill Thor, because basically they blame Thor for everything that's going on. Now, there's a couple things that come out of this. One, if Thor is being blamed for the destruction of Olympus and presumably Gore the God Butcher basically killing all the Olympian gods, then it only means a couple things. It means one, either Thor failed to stop Gore when he was attacking Olympus and Thor's being blamed for it, which would make the most sense given like the relation of the Asgardians, the High Father, or the Sky Fathers and all that kind of stuff. Or Gore the God Butcher is a direct result of Thor's actions, that Thor did something somewhere along the line, and that led to Gore the God Butcher. But bigger than that is the idea that this supposedly sets up the conflict for Thor versus Hercules in Thor 5. Now, here's the thing, right? If this is the case, and again, this is rumor, don't take this as an absolute, this is rumor. If that's true, Thor 5 will be insane. Because when it comes to Hercules, man, here's the thing. 90% of the time, Hercules is kind of an idiot in Marvel Comics. Not even gonna lie. I'm not gonna lead y'all down the primrose path. Most of the time, he's a moron. But there's been one occasion when Hercules was just ridiculously powerful, and that was during Chaos War. Now, technically, Hercules was empowered. It wasn't simply just him by himself. He was empowered and had all these crazy abilities and all that kind of stuff, and was literally like a multiversal force of energy, right? It was crazy how powerful he was. But on any given day, Hercules can hold his own against most everybody. Like some of the heaviest hitters, the Incredible Hulk, so on and so forth. I mean, guys like Zeus, yes. Like there's literally a comic called The Incredible Hulks written by Greg Pak where Zeus beats the hell out of the Incredible Hulk. And I mean, it's not even close. Like the Incredible Hulk kind of puts up a fight a little bit, I guess. But for the most part, he just gets wrecked. It's not even close. But Hercules can hold his own against most people. Now, what's really cool about this is, say for example, we get Thor 5, we have a confrontation between Hercules and Thor. I would bet all the money in my pockets to all the money in your pockets that they would kill Thor, that's where the road of Thor ends, that Thor basically dies at the hands of Hercules. Exactly how that would happen, I'm not entirely sure, but I would bet that Thor dies, right? Chris Hemsworth is one of the last holdouts of the original roster of the Avengers, right? The original Avengers team from the first movie. He's one of the last holdouts, right? Hawkeye is like the other one, basically. But everybody else is for the most part gone. Black Widow's gone, Iron Man's gone, Captain America's gone. I guess the Incredible Hulk's still there. So the Incredible Hulk, Hawkeye, and Black Widow, they're still around. I don't think the Incredible Hulk is long for this world, to be honest with you guys. But I think that's what they would end up doing, is killing off Thor. And if that's the case, Hercules would take his place. Because I imagine that if the two of them fought and Hercules killed Thor, that it would likely be the result of some kind of misunderstanding or something like that, right? Hercules doesn't get the full situation or whatever the case may be, and Thor basically ends up dead. I could definitely see Hercules taking his place, because here's the thing to know. In Marvel Comics, they had a series, right? So you basically have the Incredible Hulk comic, right? And the Incredible Hulk comic goes on and on and on and on. It's been on for decades and decades. Following the events of Planet Hulk and World War Hulk, the Incredible Hulk, Bruce Banner, was basically put in a prison 3 miles below somewhere in New Mexico. I can't remember what it was called. It's not Santa Fe, but it was like Roswell or something like that. Anyway, he was basically put in a prison underground, and he was held there because of how everything transpired during the events of World War Hulk. He was deemed too dangerous of a threat. So following that, Marvel created 2 comics that spun out of the Incredible Hulk. The first one was the story that focused on Red Hulk, and the second one was the Incredible Hercules. And it was basically Hercules kind of playing the role of the Incredible Hulk without the powers and hanging out with Amadeus Cho. hero. This guy's a hoss, right? He's one of the big heavy hitters of Marvel. Despite the fact that he's kind of depicted as goofy and you don't see him all that often, he's a hardcore guy. And for the most part, when it comes to Marvel Comics, whenever the heroes are killed off and replaced by somebody else, that person is usually some spiritual continuation of that character. So the sister of Black Widow is herself a Black Widow. So it would make sense that Natasha Romanoff dies, her sister is going to end up on the Thunderbolts or something like that, and then ultimately she'll end up becoming part of one of the new Avengers, right? She'll realize that Contessa lied to her, duped her, tricked her, whatever, that Hawkeye didn't really like leave her sister to die, that her sister chose to die, right? Hawkeye told her that, but like in the moment, obviously she wasn't going to believe it. She's going to have to discover some kind of proof on her own, and then she'll realize that Hawkeye was right, and then she'll turn coat against the Thunderbolts, if that's the team she ends up on, which she probably will, and then she'll join the new Avengers, right? That's how that transpires. She-Hulk, the Incredible Hulk. Like Kate Bishop, Hawkeye. It's always the same way, right? It's always the same thing. The characters that get replaced are replaced with continuations of their characters. So it makes perfect sense that Hercules, being an Olympian god, albeit not necessarily an Asgardian god, would replace Thor. More so than that, just on speculation here, I wouldn't be surprised if Thor 4 introduces the Skyfathers. And I'll talk about that in a future video because I do want to talk about the impact that having the Skyfathers would have on the MCU. But I have a hard time believing that Zeus would be around for a lengthy period of time, albeit Odin is actually older in the comics. I don't know if that's the way in the MCU, but I have a hard time believing they would have been around for that long and that they never would have talked to each other or met each other or encountered each other or anything like that. I think the Skyfathers are there. I think they exist. I think Zeus is well aware of the fact that Odin died. I think that in that movie, there might be some general conversation where they talk about that kind of stuff. And it's like, I'm sorry to hear about your father. He was a great man, that kind of a thing. And Zeus actually tells Thor, like, we're the Skyfathers. Your father, my father, these other gods that exist out there are all part of the Skyfathers. And that these different gods are being killed off by Gore, hence why we're seeing Zeus involved in the first place. So I think that's one of the things that's going to transpire. But I think as part of the greater picture here, part of the bigger pantheon, if Thor does face off against Hulk, if this leak is supposedly true, right, if that's actually the case, and you do end up seeing Hercules introduced to the MCU, Hercules is going to replace Thor. It seems to be the most logical situation because as of yet in the MCU, you don't have two variations of the same character running around who are that closely linked to one another, right? It's not like Andrew Garfield or Tobey Maguire just stayed in the MCU while Tom Holland's Spider-Man went forward and did his thing and the world basically forgot who Peter Parker is and all that stuff. We didn't get that. Right? Like we don't have two Spider-Men running around. We still only have one Spider-Man. At any given time, they keep the roster relatively small. I don't think that'll last. And if ever there were a time to give us like two heavy hitters like that, where you have like two members of a godly pantheon who are very close in structure and form and function to one another, like Thor and Hercules, if ever we were going to have a continuation, that's it. Because Chris Hemsworth has been very, very like cloak and dagger, right? Smoke and mirrors about his future in the MCU. He's like, man, I really can't wait to see what Thor does next in the MCU. And it's like, well, is that Jane Foster or is that Chris Hemsworth? And he's like, well, I mean, it could be either one, and there's times where he's like, this is my final act, right? This is my swan song. I'm done after this. So he's gone back and forth. We don't really have a definitive answer, and nobody's really seemed to have come clean on which one is which. But I would bet good money that they would introduce Hercules in Thor 5, or at least in a post-credit scene here. Him and Thor will fight in Thor 5, and that'll be the end of Thor. And you'll basically end up getting Hercules that takes over, right? That just becomes the new guy, right? The new replacement Thor. And you just go forward from there. Now, rumors abound as to who it is that would play the character of Hercules. I don't really know who that person would be, and I'm curious who your pick is. I haven't really seen anybody or really even looked up anybody that would stand out to me as a replacement Hercules, or Hercules in the MCU, but I guess that's possible, right? Whoever that person happens to be. I mean, obviously they'd have to fit the part. They'd have to be muscular, that kind of a thing, but I don't know exactly how this would transpire, right? So I don't know. Let me know what you guys think, right? Do you think this post-credit scene leak, this rumor is true? Like, do you think we will actually end up seeing Hercules introduced in Thor 5? Because we haven't seen him in the movie, or at least in the trailers anyway. And I would have to believe, because they showed us Zeus, surely they would show us Hercules, even if it's only a glimpse, right? A single frame, because what they gave us of Zeus is not enough to know what role his character is going to play. The trailer is literally just like, Zeus is here. We'll see you in theaters. Like, that's basically it. That's all the trailer gives us. So I wouldn't think it would be that much of a stretch to show us Hercules. So that's the cool thing, because I feel like there's going to be a lot of discussion and a lot of conversation in this movie, or a lot of revelation about the earthly pantheon of gods. So let me know what you guys think down in the comments section, right? Let me know how you guys feel about this. And if you do think it's true, let me know who you think should play Hercules in Thor 5. But with that being said, we're going to bring this to an end. Thank you all for watching, and I will catch you all later. Peace.